And welcome to Coach's Corner. I'm your host, DJ Yoakley. We will have Coach, and we'll pick his brain just a little bit. But first, let's return to wild and wonderful West Virginia, where the Titans took on Bethany this weekend. The Titans taking a 5-game winning streak down to West Virginia to take on the Bethany Bison. But right away, the Bison getting things off to an early start. Milton Joyner pass complete to Matt Cruz. This goes for 23 yards downfield. Complete down to the 26. Now it's more Milton Joyner. 11 yards out. He scrambles, fakes out 3 Titans right there, gets into the end zone for a Bethany touchdown. The extra point is up, and it is good. So now the Titans, it's Fran's time. Fran's barking out the signals, dropping back, fires to Nick McCloskey. McCloskey looking for a few yards. He gets 19 on the play, more than a few if you ask me. Now more Titans looking downfield. They fire. This is to Jordan Balosh. Balosh is going to go for 11 yards down to the Bethany 37, a first down for the Titans. More Franz goes to Rossitelli. 3 touchdowns last week. This is his first of the day. Chad Rossitelli goes 20 yards for the Westminster touchdown. Fred Romeo kicks it up, and of course, it is good. Bethany coming back. Milton Joyner looking, and he's going to get sacked by Andrew the Squirrel Robinson, taking him down, loss of 4 yards on the play. Bethany trying to get things going again. Handoff, this time to Nick Zapor. Zapor, 18 yards on the carry, picks up a first down and more. This time it's going to go Milton Joyner pass complete to Tyler McNeil, 20 yards down to the Westminster 30. Not done yet. Joyner pass complete to Tyler McNeil again, this time 32 yards and a teeter. Touchdown Bethany. 14-7 on the extra point right here. Kick is up. Kick is good. Bethany still on top 14-7. Franz trying to make a comeback here. Looking, firing to Ziegler, and look at Ziggy go. He's breaking left, breaking tackles left and right. Bork out in front trying to make blocks along with Gubish, and Ziggy goes deep down the field. And it's Franz time. More Franz firing deep downfield. He finds Chad Rossitelli right in the breadbasket. 14-14, your score at halftime. Now, Coach, I just want to clarify, there was a 5-game winning streak we had in the series, not on the year. But that streak is snapped now, completely fresh. Bethany has a 1-game lead going into next year, a 1-0 lead. Who impressed you so much for Bethany? Was it anybody particular, or was it their team as a whole?
I think it was their team as a whole. I mean, they had some good individual efforts for sure, but their team as a whole, their defense was resilient, and offensively, their offensive line played their best game, in my opinion, of what I've seen of them so far. And, as well as they had a couple of skill guys, as we know, that can do things with the ball.
Now, one of those skill guys was Joyner, the quarterback. And we talked a little bit during the highlights and talked about how good he's become. You said week in and week out he becomes a better quarterback.
Yeah, he's getting more comfortable at the quarterback position, and he was very comfortable on Saturday. We didn't get as much rush as we'd like. In some of the shorter passes that he throws, I mean, they blocked very well for the receiver, and that gives a quarterback confidence.
Now, talk a little bit about their passing game, which they were successful, and their running game, they didn't do too bad either. Talk about that a little bit.
Their passing game, I mean, they just, they were hitting the open receiver. I mean, they did a great job. I think we didn't play pass defense near as well as we could or should, and that's, and I think it was a combination of both. But it was a passing game that we're going to see, week in and week out. I mean, they didn't do anything to trick us.
On the flip side of that coin, where do you think we struggled the most on Saturday?
Well, I think it was just a matter of, we didn't finish the game. You could see that offensively, we could do what we wanted to do against the defense. We didn't convert when we needed to convert, and we had those crucial turnovers.
We were very close to them. Going into the fourth quarter, it was 21-21. You talked about those turnovers. Can you explain what you saw from a coach's point of view as to why those turnovers occurred?
Well, I think that it's a matter of having the team confidence. Defensively, we weren't doing a great job of shutting them down, and offensively, we felt like we had to score every single time we had the ball. And it might have been a little bit of pressure, and we pushed the buttons a little bit too hard, and caused some turnovers.
So you feel that the defense, with them giving up the points, pressured the offense into having to score time and time again?
Yeah, it's all a team game. I mean, it's all, it's all a part of it. It's not one person. It's not just the offense. It's not just the defense. I mean, it's a team thing, and we have to realize that.
321 yards passing did Joyner have. Talk about the future in quarterbacks versus our defense. Do you feel vulnerable at any point?
No, I mean, we just have to get our confidence back defensively. I mean, early in the year we were playing with some great confidence. We faced some good quality athletes and played well against them. And we got to know that we're a good quality defense, and we got to get back to fundamentals.
What do you think it's going to take for us to get our confidence back and go into these last 3 games with the confidence that we had at the first 3?
Well, we have to. I personally think that it's going to cause a point in our defense that we have to realize a big play is going to snap us out of it. That big interception, that big fumble recovery, that's what's going to snap us out of it. And as our values state, I mean, we need to lead when called upon, and when that point comes, we have to step up and take advantage of it.
Now, at a 3-4 record, the playoffs are almost out of sight. How do you keep a team motivated for the last 3 games of the season?
Well, I think at this level of football, you have to realize that you're playing for yourself, you're playing for your team, you're playing for your school, you're playing for the tradition of Titan football, and that's what something you have to take a look at.
Out of the 4 losses on our record, which do you, as a coach, look back on and say, maybe that was the hardest one, and why do you look at it that way?
Well, they're all hard losses to me. I mean, they definitely are not easy to take. The Geneva game was a tough loss, and this game was a tough loss, though.
And we're going to take a look at the second half highlights. We'll be back with Coach Hand right after this. Titans coming out of the locker room deadlocked at 14, locked up with the Bison. Milton Joyner coming out of the locker room fire, and he fires to Matt Cruz. He's going to get a bunch of yards on this one, complete for 62 yards, down to the Westminster 4-yard line. So tough out of the gate come the Bison. Then more Joyner. He passes this one to Santini. Santini dances into the end zone for a touchdown. Bethany goes up 21-14, and the Titans trying to make a comeback. Franz fakes the handoff, rolling out to his right, looking, firing, finds the dice man on the right side. Jason DeCello finally taken out of bounds. It's Titan time. Titans go into the end zone, touchdown. That's Franz with a 1-yard quarterback keeper into the end zone. Joyner takes offense to that, trying to find his man downfield, finds his man, and this goes downfield to about the 5-yard line, where the Bison are so dangerous. Look at Joyner. He scrambles into the end zone, practically untouched until a big hit at the end, right there by Folkowski. Kick is up, and no good. This could be the Titans' chance to take the lead for good. The Titans need to make something happen right here, and it's a fumble. Bad snap off the hands of Kevin Franz, and Bethany recovers. Bison trying to take advantage, handoff to Santini. Santini breaking tackles, juking Titans out of their shoes, breaks it all the way, 53 yards downfield goes Marcus Santini for the Bethany touchdown. They go up big, especially on the extra point. Santini with a touchdown on 8:58 to go makes it 34-21 in favor of the Bison. Westminster, not rush time yet, trying to get something going. Kevin Franz, 3-step drop, pressure on him, throws a pick, intercepted by Ariel Ramirez at the 30, and we know what they are so good at. It's desperation time now for the Titans. Kevin Franz looking, firing deep. This one is going to be picked off. No luck for the Titans this time, and Bethany just going to take complete advantage now. Handoff to Santini again. Santini scampers 30 yards out for a touchdown, and Bethany goes on to win this one by the final of 41-21. The Titans drop to 3-4 on the year. Now, Coach, obviously this wasn't Franz's best game, but it wasn't his worst game either. With a running back like Nick McCloskey, who's our guest today, 26 carries, 126 yards. Do you rely on Nick to pick up the slack a little bit for a quarterback who's struggling?
Well, I think we rely on the whole team. I mean, that's it's a team thing. I think Kevin played a solid game. I mean, it's a game. It's not his best game, as you said, and he pushed a button a little bit too hard. He was trying to make a play. It's not because of lack of effort. It's by pushing a little bit of the panic button at the end.
Now we've said on numerous occasions, Kevin's a young quarterback. He's got so much talent and so much upside to his value. But these last 3 losses, it's got to be tough on your psyche a little bit. Do you feel his confidence is kind of shrinking a little bit, or do you think he's staying stable?
No, I think his confidence is still there. I still think he believes in our offense. He believes in himself. He believes in his receivers. He believes in the offensive line. It's just putting it totally, completely together.
Now we know Kevin's the future of our offense. He's the future of the Titan field general. But there's a guy in the backfield, on the sidelines, number 10, Brett Myers, who is a senior gunslinger. Is he going to get a chance to ride out into the sunset, you think, this time this year?
Well, I think Brett, when he's called upon, he'll do a great job. I mean, he may get that opportunity. We just have to see how the game plays out, the year plays out, and we'll go from there.
So somebody who you've called many times this year, especially 5 times right in a row, Chad Rossitelli, 5 consecutive touchdowns. He's done everything to step up for the Titans thus far this year. Where did he come from, out of the Titan offense?
Well, I think that he's just. To me, he's a young pup. I mean, he's a sophomore that's really just coming out of his shell. Who's a great athlete. We know that. We've talked about it many a times, and and he's really just finding his niche within our offense, and we're working to find more niches for him.
Now, before you came in as a coach here, we didn't see the screen pass hardly at all. And now the screen pass seems to be our go-to play when we're in times of trouble. Can you talk a little bit about the success that we've had?
Well, I think with the screen game, it's not that go-to type of play in crucial times. It's that big play that's going to happen for you if used at the right opportunity. And but we do execute our screens very well, and that's something I think that is very important to keep a defense off balance.
Absolutely, and our defense did go from nationally ranked. I'm not sure where they're at this week, but a key element in those 3 wins early for our Titans. We're now 3-4. Can you explain the fallout a little bit of the Titans?
Well, I think part of it is we're getting back now to where we're getting to the point where we're a lot healthier than we were 3 weeks ago. And we had some injuries. We had some guys dinged up. We had some guys that are starting to come back and starting to get into that finish the season form.
All right, Coach, we're going to take a real quick break, come back with the Pack Report. Coach's Corner will be right back after this.
What would it mean to you to have the most updated hair wardrobe using Paul Mitchell? Needing a change or just want to update your style? Then call the Right Place Hair Salon. Their staff has the newest techniques and color formulas for the latest hair collection. The Right Place is a Paul Mitchell focus salon that not only creates new hair and confidence for you, but also offers tanning and waxing services. So if you want it done right, call the Right Place Salon, 724-946-9299, or check us out on the web at therightplacesalon.com.
I'm starving. I love being hungry because when the mom in my family's on the go all day and comes home to our hungry family, I know she's going to serve up Augustine's Italian frozen pizza. The smell of roasted garlic, fresh mozzarella, and zesty marinara lingers throughout the house as if we lived in our own Italian village. And the best part is Augustine's frozen pizza is made right here in Newcastle and can be found in our local grocery store. 6 varieties of Augustine's ready-to-bake pizzas. Love being hungry. Love Augustine's frozen pizzas.
Welcome back to Coach's Corner, everyone. I'm Therese Marsleck with your Week 7 edition of the Pack Report. Let's first start out by seeing the Pack standings of the teams. Waynesburg remains on top with 4 wins and no losses. W&J have 3 wins and also no losses. Grove City has an equal record with the 3-3 mark. Thomas More also has an equal record with 2-2. Bethany and Westminster are tied with 1 win and 3 losses. Teal is at the bottom of the pile with 1 win and 4 losses. Pack provisional member Geneva would be 5-0, and St. Vincent would be 0-5. Let's dive deeper into the games. First, looking at the game of St. Vincent versus Case Western Reserve. The Bearcats lost one against this weekend to the undefeated Case Western team. The Bearcats were able to make 3 trips to the red zone, but were shut down all 3 times. St. Vincent was only able to gain 66 yards on the ground all day. Quarterback Mike Spiel completed 14 of 30 passes for 139 yards. Backup quarterback Jimmy Nagel came in the fourth quarter, finishing 6 of 10 for 58 yards and led the ground game with 26 yards. Mike Wampler caught 5 passes for 71 yards, while defensively the Bearcats were led by Justin Blahnik, who had 13 tackles, 2 for a loss. Final score, St. Vincent 0, Case Western Reserve 42. Next, we take a look at the Teal versus Waynesburg game. For Teal, quarterback Mark Lascola finished 18 of 37, passing for 188 yards and 1 touchdown, and rushed 17 times for 21 yards. Wide receiver John Adams had 6 catches for 70 yards and a score, while Tim Van Horn added 4 grabs for 51 yards. Defensively, the Tomcats were led by Mike Clemens, who had a career high of 9 tackles, and Michael Stimack, who added 8 stops. On the Yellow Jackets side of things, freshman running back Robert Heller set 2 single-season school records on Saturday, the first being the single-season rushing record with 1,305 yards and single-season attempts with 238. He finished the game with 135 yards and a touchdown on 32 attempts. Defensively, the Yellow Jackets forced 5 interceptions and had 7 sacks. Dan Andrease led the unit with 14 tackles. Waynesburg was able to take the game with the score Waynesburg 25, Teal 20. Now we take a look at the W&J versus Grove City game. Grove City's 2-game win streak came to an end when facing W&J. The Wolverines committed a season-high 6 turnovers. Brian Mercer ran for his 3rd touchdown of the season, while Zach Sumi scored his first touchdown after a picked-up fumble by Wes Beauchamp. Butch Krieger was able to recover 2 fumbles and also recovered a block punt by teammate Ian Tobin. On the W&J side, the Presidents were able to extend their winning streak to 9 games. Luke Espy and Greg Bissong both caught 2 touchdown passes, while the Presidents' defense limited the Wolverines to 196 yards and 9 first downs. Quarterback Bobby Swallow completed 22 of 33 passes for 256 yards and 5 touchdowns. The President defense was led by David Gitlitz with 7 tackles, 2 quarterback hurries, 1 interception, 1 forced fumble, and a pass breakup. The Presidents took the game with a score 49-14. And finally, we take a look at the close game of Geneva versus Thomas More. For the Saints, Cordario Collier rushed for 68 yards on 13 attempts, while Nick Dew led the Saints with 2 catches for 59 yards and a touchdown. But the real show for the Saints was their defensive play. Matt Clark recorded a career-high 17 tackles, 6 of those being solo. Brandon Kors had 9 tackles, 2 solo, 2 for a loss, and a sack. For Geneva, head coach Gino DeMarco won his 100th game, moving the Saints to a 5-2 record. Bobby Bondi found Luke Duriansek in the end zone for a 5-yard touchdown late in the 3rd quarter for the game-winning score. Geneva's defense held the Saints to just 21 yards rushing and 127 yards of total offense. Geneva's Brian Wilson picked up a pair of sacks in the final 2 minutes to seal the victory. Final score, Geneva 10, Thomas More 9. Now it's time to see who made the offensive, defensive, and special teams player of the week. For Offensive Player of the Week, it goes to Milton Joyner of Bethany. The senior quarterback completed 26 of 35 passes for 321 yards and 2 touchdowns, while also rushing for 2 scores. His 26 completions marked the 3rd highest single-game total in history. Defensive Player of the Week goes to Matt Clark of Thomas More. The freshman linebacker posted a game-high 17 total tackles, 6 of those being solo, and a pass breakup. And the Special Teams Player of the Week goes to Scott Cree of Waynesburg. The sophomore returned a punt for 75 yards for his first career touchdown. He then recovered an onside kick in the final minute to help Waynesburg remain unbeaten. For the game, he posted 127 yards on 5 returns. Let's see who will meet up for this coming week's games. Thomas More travels to Bethany. Washington and Jefferson will be at Waynesburg to decide who will remain unbeaten in the pack. Westminster hosts Frostburg State, and St. Vincent faces off against Geneva. Now it's time to see the standings for the NFL Pick'em Challenge. Well, Coach Hand is finally getting some points on the board, but still trails, as I am still behind DJ by 1 point. But it should be interesting to see where the scores go after choosing from this week's games. And they are Pittsburgh versus Denver, Arizona versus Washington, Tennessee versus Houston, Baltimore versus Buffalo, and Indianapolis versus Jacksonville. Well, that does it for the Week 7 edition of the Pack Report. We will be back with DJ and the player interview right after this.
Ice skating, what a great form of exercise and fun. And there's no better place than Hess Ice Rink in Newcastle. Interested in figure skating or hockey? Come in and be part of our Learn to Skate program, open to all ages and skill levels. Hess Ice Rink, the home of the Hess Hockey Association and the area's largest competitive figure skating team, open every day. Hess Ice Rink welcomes all ages to come and enjoy the excitement and sport of ice skating. Let Hess plan your next birthday party or occasion. Hess Ice Rink on Mitchell Road in Newcastle.
All the behind-the-scenes positions for today's TV broadcast from camera to director are held by Westminster College broadcast communications majors. Broadcast instruction from professionals in the field, plus extensive hands-on experience in both radio and television, can be found close to home. Be part of the action in the future. Learn more about broadcasting at Westminster College. For more information, contact the Westminster College admissions office.
And welcome back to Coach's Corner. It's time now for the player portion of the show, where usually we have a player that, sports, and they do their thing in one sport. But in high school, you could find this player, our guest today, on the baseball field, the football field, and believe it or not, the ice hockey rink. Our player today is star tailback for the Westminster Titans, Nick McCloskey. Nick, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now talk a little bit about the difference between the three sports in high school. What was your favorite and why?
Well, I mean, in high school, they were all my favorite sports. Actually, if I'd have to pick, it'd be football. But they're all unique. Most people, especially at this school, have never played hockey in high school, or didn't even have a hockey team. So I think that's one thing that was unique about the sports that I played in high school.
Did it even cross your mind to play baseball or hockey anywhere else?
No, not really. I knew that I had a special love for football, and I was going to play that in college.
Well, lucky for us, you are playing football. You have a lot of success. We haven't seen a tailback like you since the Freilich days, 100-yard rusher. Sean Buggy had a few here and there, but you're pretty consistent with your rushing. Talk a little bit about your success you've had thus far this year.
Well, I have to give most of my success to the line up front. They're doing a great job. They're just, our scheme and our coaches and our line, and just everyone as a team is working together. Our line is doing a good job opening up holes for me. The pass game's coming together, and just with the pass game and run game this year, it's opening up all aspects of the offense.
As a broadcaster, we like to make comparisons. And early on in the year, after the first couple games, I compared you to Willie Parker because Willie did a lot of things on the outside a couple years ago and last year, but this year he's doing a lot of running in between the tackles, such as yourself. Explain the difference between your freshman year and sophomore year.
Well, I think there's the one main difference is just experience. My freshman year coming out of high school, I wasn't expecting to be. I wasn't experienced as much as having a lot of the carries,
right.
And I didn't have as much carries as I had in high school as I do now. I think that was the main difference.
Do you feel a bigger responsibility or more responsibility when the offense is struggling with the passing game to step it up with your running game?
Yeah, I think, they go hand in hand.
Right.
If the pass game is struggling, we got to hit it on the ground. If the run game's struggling, we have to hit it in the air. And it's really nice when they're just clicking together.
Now, when you first get out there and you break the huddle, what's the first thing you look for as a tailback in the defense?
Well, when I get up, when I line myself up, I try to play the play as how it's going to play out in my mind. And I look at my reads and try to imagine what's going to happen and just focus on my reads.
Now, there's a lot of people that love to run the ball but hate to block. You're one of those guys, from looking at films, you love to do both of them. Is there any preference in your mind?
Well, I'd obviously like running the ball more than blocking, but I don't mind blocking at all. I take pride in that. If I'm going to be blocking, I want to be doing a good job at it.
100-yard rushing. Let's talk a little bit about that. Let's get into that a little bit. Scott Freilich was one of our top rushers a while ago. You weren't even here yet. Now, do you hear any comparisons from the fans or in the locker room about your 100-yard rushing?
I don't really hear any comparisons to Freilich, but I hear all the older guys that played with Buggy telling me that I'm a little Buggy. I heard that I look like him, I guess. But if they're comparing me to somebody who's a good runner like Freilich, then I'm happy for that.
Now talk about maybe after the game, after you nailed a 100-yard game. Can you explain the feeling to viewers at home?
I mean, it's a great feeling. my goal as running backs is just 4 yards a carry, and just getting over 100 yards is a bonus.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, Nick, and best of luck to you on Saturday.
Thanks.
We'll be right back with Coach Hand right after this.
Why do dogs chase cars? It's the tires. We love them. And Tire Express loves tires as much as I do. Plus, Tire Express is the kind of place you can comfortably send your grandmother. Tire Express is great, with dependable tires at everyday low prices and honest service. And Tire Express is as fast as me, Chico. They get you in and out in a hurry. That's why Matt's been in the tire business for over 25 years. That's 175 in dog years. Tire Express, often copied, never equaled. When it comes to tires, they're the top dog.
So you're a huge Western Pennsylvania football fan? Then NCNewsOnline.com is for you. Crunch is an award-winning internet site of the Newcastle News devoted to area high school football, where you'll get a daily fix of schedules, scores, rosters, highlights, opinion, and player profiles, plus video and photo galleries. Online at NCNewsOnline.com. It's football coverage as it happens, designed for you, the dedicated fan. Crunch online at NCNewsOnline.com.
And welcome to our final segment of Coach's Corner, where we try to get things going for the game ahead. This week, non-conference foe, you get a week off from Pac play Frostburg State. Last year, 14-6 loss at Frostburg on a day we all remember. Rain, snow, sleet, 50-mile-an-hour winds, crazy weather. This week, probably a little more mild here in New Wilmington at Bury Stadium. They own 3 of the last 5 victories over Westminster. Do you feel a certain push to get that victory here at Bury Stadium?
Oh, it's a push to get a victory anytime, but it's nice. This is going to be the Hall of Fame day. There's a lot of great people getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, and people that had a lot of success on that field. And this could be the last year for that field, and so it's definitely a chance for us to get a victory in front of them.
Do you feel better about getting a week off from Pac play to let your players at least get mentally back into it, so to speak, as opposed to always being with the hustle and bustle of Pac play?
Well, at this point, I mean, it's just a matter of going out there, and it's another opportunity to get a victory. There is that little bit of a relief that it isn't a Pac game, and hopefully that gives us the confidence we need.
Now, looking at the stats, we're league worst. -11 in the turnover margin. Is that going to be a key to success? Is stay away from the turnovers on Saturday?
Well, it's the key all the time. I mean, to stay away from turnovers, but that again, that's a team thing. That's not an offensive thing. It's not a defensive thing. Defensively, we haven't created near enough turnovers either. How
is this Frostburg State different than last year's Frostburg State?
They're very similar, actually. I in some ways they're better. They don't have that dominant defensive lineman that they typically have. They'll usually have a couple players up front that you'll say, wow, those guys are very good players. I mean, they're solid, but I think they're better up front offensively, not quite as talented as they have been up front defensively.
Their quarterback is averaging 3 touchdowns a game. Do your D-backs feel a need to step it up this week in order to have confidence going into the last 2 games?
Yes, I don't think the pressure's there, but they know that they need to perform to get us ready to play the last 2 conference games.
All right, Coach. Thank you. Best of luck to you on Saturday.
Well, thank you.
That does it for Coach's Corner. We'll see you next week.
Please outlaw smoking in public places. Those that are myself and many others who have other allergies simply are restricted from doing a lot of things.
Are you hearing lots of complaints like James from your constituents? Are people really outspoken on this?
Yeah, they are. I'm surprised. It's not. I'm not saying it's the number one issue that I hear about, but I do hear about it. It's the first time I've heard from somebody with a disability. But I understand this gentleman's point, and I think he makes a legitimate point.
All right, let's go to York, Pennsylvania. Terry, go ahead.
Good evening, Representative Terzai. My question deals with property tax reform. And I know the issue has been a hot issue in Harrisburg because I've been listening to PCN quite often about the property tax reform. And my question is, why is it so difficult for the representatives to come together to finally eliminate property taxes in Pennsylvania? Other states have done it. And I fail to see why it's so difficult for Pennsylvania to also follow the lead and do the same thing, because you said you wanted to put dollars back in the citizens' hands. Property tax is a way to put a lot of dollars into a lot of people's hands.
Yeah, but, sir, with all due respect, no state has eliminated property taxes. Michigan did it for a month. And when they came back with not only a local property tax, but they came back with a statewide property tax as well. Now, it was admittedly lower, but over time those taxes have gone back up. And let me tell you why. Because when people talk about property tax reform, what they don't understand until they're confronted with the issue, like we recently were on the district-by-district referendum, right, where you could have shifted to an earned income tax and personal income tax, and I think it went down in every district but maybe 8 or 9 out of 501. It went down in both my districts, huge. Because ultimately, yes, you're paying out of the right-hand side for property taxes, but as soon as they start to see that they have to now pay for it out of the personal income tax, which is generally where people talk about, or to the sales tax, then they think like, well, you know, I guess balancing it, I'm going to have to pay more over. A lot of people on the personal income tax were going to pay more in taxes, and they didn't want to do that. And as soon as it's a shift, you know, it's just a tax shift. You're just picking one tax over another. And I'm not sure that increasing the personal income tax, in fact, I'm opposed to increasing the personal income tax for a shift in the property tax. And I do not like the expansion of the sales tax, because if you apply it to services, I think you're going to kill a service sector economy in the state of Pennsylvania. I could myself, and remember, you have to come up with $11 billion almost in tax revenues. You know, right now, at 6%, our state sales tax at 6%, I think brings in around $8 billion, $8.5 billion. You would have to more than double the increase in the sales tax to eliminate property taxes. You'd have to take it up to about 20%. The personal income tax brings in, I think, about $9 billion annually at a rate of 3.07%. Again, you would have to more than double the personal income tax rate. Once people see that they have to make a shift, they always vote no. Or by and large, they vote no. And I think you got to control costs. You got to more equitable funding from the state so that there isn't the disparity from district to district and pupil to pupil. You have to have a tougher back-end referendum, get rid of the exceptions, and you need some type of an assessment reform. We do have to look at the assessments. But I know of no state, and I have been in a number of hearings where experts have testified, there is no state that has eliminated property taxes.
Now, lest we paint a picture that's too gloomy for property owners here in Pennsylvania, seniors are already getting checks, though, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, there is. The gambling revenue, which will bring in about $1 billion a year, is providing relief to low-income seniors, and the income threshold went up. So it's not all. I like John Purcell's idea, although I'd like to expand it even more. I want to take the gambling money that's going to the convention center and to Allegheny County, and I want to put that in the pot, too.
But didn't Governor Rendell already make a promise to the people that everybody would get property tax relief? And maybe that's what's bothering people.
No, that is the counter-argument. I mean, there's no doubt. But the problem is that the gambling money doesn't really provide enough relief to people. You know, it's maybe $100, $150, and, you know, taxes are increased. Your property taxes back up. The next year, that $100, $150 doesn't mean anything. You can provide real relief to a targeted segment, and I think we have to do the other things to address the overall school cost issue.
Let's take a call from Hollidaysburg. Nicole, we have about 2 minutes left. Question and answer. Be brief, please.
Oh, and that's so hard for me. First off, Larry, great interview with Nora last week or the week before. Representative